What's going on, guys? Kyle here. I've been checking out this game Scavengers by indie studio Midwinter Entertainment. It just launched today on Steam. I have about 4 hours played on it, so I just wanted to give my quick impressions on the game so far. So let's get right into it. So first off, what is Scavengers? Scavengers is a third-person action game that combines the elements of survival with the battle royale genre. Players start by selecting an explorer, and with a squad of two other teammates, you move on to fight 19 other three-man teams. And instead of being the last team standing, players are tasked with obtaining as many data points as they can throughout a match. Aside from the data point system, the game pretty much functions as your traditional battle royale. It has an enclosing circle with the last remaining teams fighting it out in that enclosed space. However, what's unique about this game is instead of the last team being the last team standing, there's a spaceship placed in the middle of the last circle, and whoever's able to make themselves onto that spaceship and launch off successfully, they are rewarded for the amount of data points they have earned during that match. This essentially means that whoever was able to survive and make it onto the spaceship at the end of the match will be rewarded for surviving that long. And although they weren't the top team, they'll still get something out of the match. Of course, data points are used for the character progression, the research and talent system. We'll touch more on that later, but essentially it helps you upgrade your character after matches. This is a very interesting, new, and unique gameplay mechanic, and it also lends itself to the whole survival trope that this game is going for. Something else that's very unique about this game is the way that death works. So essentially, when you die, there's a brief cooldown period, but as long as you still have a teammate alive, you're able to respond, and you respond back with all your loot. Now, if all of your teammates are eliminated, then you guys are done for the match and you will not be able to come back. A huge element of Scavengers is its survival mechanics. It has many different gameplay mechanics, very reminiscent to some of the most popular survival games out there. Rust, Escape from Tarkov, Minecraft. You'll find very similar systems in this game. For instance, the game's hunger system. The game does have a hunger system where you have to watch your hunger meter and keep an eye out for consumables such as berries and wild meat. Another huge thing is the temperature gauge. You have to try to keep your explorer as warm as possible. Whenever your temperature drops into the danger zone, you'll actually start to lose HP and then you'll be at risk of dying. So keeping warm is super important. You have to watch for indoor environments and try to stick near fire. And then lastly, in terms of the survival, enemy players aren't the only enemies on the map. There are actually NPCs that will attack and they are hostile. Although they haven't really been much of an issue for me to deal with, there are boss NPCs that can really be tough. So you just have to keep an eye out and watch for them. As far as the gameplay, the game feels really fluid and solid. Characters feel mobile and fun to control. There's a slide mechanic with the left control key. You can also holster your weapon for a speed boost while running, very similar to something like Apex Legends. During matches, you level up using XP, and this gives you the ability to craft recipes from your loadout using a resource called scraps. Now at the start, when you initially play, you only have the default guns available for your explorer. But of course, as you progress and gain more in the game, you have a lot more options as to what you can do or use. And, it definitely allows you to customize your playstyle to the way that you want it. My overall impression of the game is that it's fun and that anyone that is interested should give it a try. After all, it's free to play and there's really no boundaries. You can just jump right in. However, I do have some concerns about the longevity of this game and what possibly could be issues down the road. So let's talk about those. So my first concern is a game like this is really only as good as the rewards you can obtain while playing. So the developers have to find a way to make the weapons and talent system sought after enough to keep players hooked while keeping in mind to keep things balanced for new players. We don't want seasoned vets stomping all over new players because that's just not going to create a healthy game environment. And of course, we would hope that the game doesn't go too crazy on the microtransactions front. I mean, there is already, even in early access, there is already an option for microtransactions and to buy the resources in the game. So we just hope that the game doesn't lean too heavily on those things and allow novice players to just buy their way into victories, essentially. And then lastly, this one isn't too big of a concern, but the late game of this game is a pretty crazy shit show. It's still early. Players are still figuring out what the most optimal strategies are. But I would really hope that the developers would be vigilant of this and would monitor things and make sure that there's some type of progression to this late game so it doesn't seem so just random and crazy. But overall, this game is pretty good. It's pretty fun, and it's a game that I'm gonna keep on my radar, and hopefully, maybe it will evolve into something big one day. We'll just have to see. Anyway, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.